Hello, and welcome to Hump, Hope, Uplifting Motivational Prayer. My name is Ruby L. Thomas, and thank you for joining me this morning, this afternoon, this evening, whatever time of day it is. Subscribe, share, like, and tell everyone you know about Hump. My email address is riseforward2020 at gmail.com, and that's riseforward 2020 at gmail.com. Today's topic is stop allowing your circumstances to define the power of God. I will be coming from the book of Exodus, the New International Version, as well as from Deuteronomy. So please check the description and the details down below where you can then go back and read the scriptures on your own. And I encourage you to pray and meditate on the scriptures. So today's word is coming to you right now. Let's get started. I'm going to be giving you approximately 8 bullet points, and that's why it's important for you to come back and look at this later, or write them down, or however you want to take your notes. But these 8 bullet points are going to really come together, and you'll see why. So we're going to talk about Moses. So Moses was a Hebrew faced with assassination. Moses was a Hebrew baby faced with assassination. That's bullet point number 1. So Moses was one of 3 children. When the children of Israel lived in Egypt as slaves, that's the time frame that Moses was born. He was the youngest of 3 children, with a sister named Miriam and a brother named Aaron. So remember Aaron's name. His brother's name was Aaron. He was the youngest of 3. So number 1, he was a Hebrew, born and faced during that time, faced with assassination. Why do I say that? So let's go to bullet point number 2. Moses was a special baby. His mother knew that he was a special baby. She knew there was something special about her child. And at the time, the Pharaoh was afraid of the Israelite slaves because there were so many of them, and he ordered all the boy babies to be killed. Assassination. The Pharaoh at the time ordered all the boy babies to be killed, to be assassinated. But Moses' mother protected him. She saw that he was a special baby and kept him hidden for 3 months. Exodus chapter 2, verse 2. Scriptures are down below. When she couldn't hide him anymore, she made a little boat, and some scriptures will say she made a basket. She placed him in it and hid baby Moses in the reeds on the banks of the Nile River. He didn't stay there for long. Being rescued by, of all people, he was rescued by, in my paraphrase, and I want to say he was adopted by Pharaoh's daughter. At the time, she was unable to nurse him, so then she hires a woman to nurse the baby. She hires a Hebrew woman to do the job. And who does she hire? Moses' birth mother to nurse the baby. Now we go down to bullet point number 3. So if Moses is raised by and adopted by, using my words, Pharaoh's daughter, he's raised in royalty. So Moses was raised as royalty. Bullet point number 3. After Moses was weaned, then Pharaoh's daughter said she placed him into the palace, and he was surrounded by luxuries, the luxuries of Egypt. Number 4, as we fast forward into time, fast forward into the story, Moses was a murderer. Bullet point number 4. And remember today's topic: stop allowing your circumstances to define the power of God. Don't allow your circumstances to define the power of God. So number 4, Moses was a murderer. He grew up in a palace, but he knew he was a Hebrew. So for example, it's almost like being adopted into a family that loves you, that cares about you, that nurtures you, but you know that you're adopted. You know that that's not your birth family. So when Moses saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew slave, the Bible says, looking this way and that way, looking all around, and seeing no one, he killed the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. So the man that he killed was an Egyptian, and he placed him in the sand. And Moses killed this man to protect a Hebrew like himself. Exodus chapter 2, verse 12. So I want you to continue with me. This is really good, y'all. I'm so excited to bring this to you. So now we go to number 5. As we go forward, Moses was afraid. We've all been afraid before. We've all faced fear in our lives, and we'll continue to face times when we face fear and we are afraid. We all deal with it. No one's exempt from it. So, what is my point? But so did Moses. Pharaoh found out what Moses had done and tried to kill him. Of course, you're going to be afraid. Pharaoh found out. Now Pharaoh says, okay, Moses needs to be killed. Again, Moses is facing what? Assassination. So Moses ran for his life. He lived out in the desert of Midian for 40 years. Fast forward, he then becomes married, and then fear shows up in his life, because fear shows up again when God says, excuse me, I need you to go back. Go back to where? I need you to go back into Egypt, into the land of Pharaoh, and I need you to save my people. I need you to rescue the Israelites from Egypt. So fear showed up again when God appeared to Moses in flames of fire within a bush. This bush was burning, but it would not burn up. This bush would not be consumed. We can learn about this in Exodus chapter 3, verse 2. God wanted Moses to rescue the Israelites from Egypt. Moses was afraid. Wouldn't you be afraid? Yes, I would be terribly afraid. And gave excuse after excuse. No, Lord, not me. I don't think this is a good idea. I stutter. That's my disability. Stop allowing your circumstances to define the power of God. Moses was allowing his circumstances, his disability, his stuttering to define the power of God. God had given him a command. Moses told God, please send somebody else. Exodus chapter 4, verse 13. God didn't want to send anyone else. And God got angry with Moses. When God sends us to do something and God commands us to do something, we are to do it. No one else can do it except for the one that God has called. And when God called you, you'll know when it's your time. So then we fast forward to bullet point number 6. So Moses was a courageous leader. Bullet point number 6, Moses was a courageous leader. To overcome Moses' fear, God recruited his brother Aaron. Remember, Moses had a sister named Miriam and a brother named Aaron. So the Lord said, okay, I'm going to send Aaron to help you. I'm going to send Aaron to be the voice to speak for you, since you had this disability and since you stutter. Some would say he was thick in the tongue. I'm going to help you. So Moses said, okay. Moses knew that he had to rise up to the challenge. He rose up to the challenge. Throughout this time, we know there are 10 plagues that took place in Pharaoh's opposition to letting the Israelites out of Egypt. When the Israelites were finally let go, and Pharaoh said, okay, they can go, they get trapped between the Pharaoh, they get trapped between the Red Sea. But the Lord said, no, my people will cross on dry land. So Moses told the people as they get to the Red Sea, whoa, the Red Sea, how we all can't swim, we're going to drown. It's the Red Sea. Moses said, don't be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance of the Lord. That the Lord will deliver us today. The Lord will bring you out today. Exodus chapter 14, verse 13. Moses also prophesies, the Egyptians you see today, you will never see them again. The ones who are holding us in bondage, the one who had us in slavery, the one who was holding us down and beating us, you will never see them again. Exodus chapter 14, verse 13. And he was right. Moses led them through the Red Sea on dry land by the power of God. Stop allowing your circumstances to define the power of God. But that was just the beginning of Moses' courageous leadership. And then we find out throughout this book of Exodus, throughout this time, Moses had to stand up and rise up to the occasion. He didn't allow his circumstances to define the power of God. And we ought to learn that from this lesson as well. And then we go on to bullet point number 7. Moses actually has a very close relationship with God. The job God called Moses to do was full of difficulties and challenges, just like some of the jobs that the Lord has placed in our path. It could be difficult. It could be some challenges. It could be some mountains. It could be some valleys. It can be some pitfalls. But know that the circumstances that we are going through does not define the power of God. Moses never hid his emotions, and he questioned God. That's the relationship that he had with God. Moses and God spent 40 days together on top of Mount Sinai, and that's when God gave Moses the 2 tablets the covenant of the law, the 2 tablets of stone inscribed by God's very finger. Exodus chapter 31, verse 18. I want to come to a conclusion here and let you know that we want to stop allowing our circumstances to define the power of God. And through it all, bullet point number 8, Moses was buried by who? Moses was buried by God. God was with Moses to the very end, being with him from the beginning, from the time of being born, of being having assassination, a hit on his head with all the baby boys that were born during that time. Moses was with him. His circumstances did not define the power of God. Your circumstances today do not define the power of God, the Alpha, the Omega, the beginning and the end. Moses lived to be 120 years old, and he was completely healthy. He was not weak in his eyes, nor was he weak in his strength. His strength was still with him. Deuteronomy chapter 34, verses 7. I want you to remember and think about the power of God and stop allowing your circumstances to define the power of God. Look at Moses. When you think about what you're going through and when you think about your circumstances, Moses was born into a hit on his head, an assassination, if you would please. His mother puts him up for adoption. He gets raised into the palace, adopted by who? Pharaoh's very own daughter. Moses is a murderer. Moses goes into the desert and lives out there for 40 years. And then the Lord calls him back to save the Israelites. The same God that was with Moses is the same God that is with us right now today, going through our circumstances. So that is your hope. That is your hope. God is still alive. He is holy and he is righteous and he is with you right now. Hope, uplifting, motivational prayer. Subscribe, share, like, and tell everyone you know about this channel. Take care. Be well. Be safe. God bless. I appreciate you all. Mwah. Smooches.